Hi, everybody.
Oh, this has to be off. This has to be on.
Okay. We're just figuring out a couple of things here.
We can't hear you yet. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Now we can. Yeah.
All right. There seems to be a little bit of a time lag, so I apologize for that. Once we start talking, it should be okay. There was one question that we had left over from Toshi. And it's an interesting question. With New Year's resolutions coming soon, can you recommend strategies we can use to produce long-lasting positive habits? I think we often see the new positive habits at work as work as opposed to fun, and that makes it challenging to pursue long term. However, things like step counting can provide a goal-oriented and more enjoyable pursuit of health. And then he says, my Apple Watch wants me to meditate. Should I try to use my watch as a trainer to improve my meditation consistency? Go for it, Toshi. Whatever works is always a good idea. There's no perfect method. We're coming to what Toshi's talking about is New Year's is coming up. And we often consider the possibility of making New Year's resolutions. And perhaps there's some resolutions that we can relate to, and then perhaps in our spiritual growth, just try to make a few changes. Well, that always has been something for me. I usually do it twice a year, and one is in September. It's been that way when I was working in my business world, and also again at the end of December. And usually it starts about someplace around the 1st of December, and just have thoughts and write down some things that I would like to try and do in the next year. September, I try to figure out whether I've ever been able to do any of it. And if some I could try to help myself with, maybe I'd have September, October, November, and December to try and improve. However, this can be a complicated thing, especially, when you're looking at things, consider the possibility of looking at them, some options physically, then some emotionally. How can I shift or change something also mentally or spiritually? And there's one little trick that try to do something in your life that relates to being playful. This is very difficult because we get so desperately serious about life and how we're doing really well or really badly. And we emphasize these things, but we don't realize that some of this stuff is a little bit focused on how we have been before. How our training has been, for example, a really big deal. And how we have dealt with it, whatever that training is, and still continue to attempt to do so. And at the same time, when we look at it, we try to realize that part of it all, part of making sense of how we function, is attempting just to see it, watch our behaviors. And there's an interesting thing that goes on in relationship to inner growth. One thing for sure, if we begin to use our personality as a tool, which has been prescribed not very often, actually, but what I mean by that is by just watching how you function and how you engage with life, yourself and others, you begin to notice certain patterns, certain strategies that have, let's say, made you feel very comfortable with yourself and your levels of value and how you assess the world and other individuals. If you look back at your trainers, you will find similarities between how you do things and how they did things. Nobody wants to see that one or even hear it. Yet, there are some things that, let's say, fly under our perception, our willingness to allow. But just seeing them doesn't mean we're good, bad, or right or wrong. It's just recognizing that sometimes we're not perfect. Yet we believe perhaps that acting in certain ways make us somehow valuable. And in fact, just functioning makes us valuable. You have an impact on other people. Other people have an impact on you. It's the nature of how our personalities work, and certainly the nature of how energy works. However, any impact that we have on us, we have a fierce ability to protect ourselves against change. And this is not devaluing anything that you're attempting to do that might be new. It's actually emphasizing how difficult it is to actually allow yourself to maintain something that's fairly new. And newness has many definitions based on the individual. Newness can be downgraded rather harshly. You can be talking to somebody and they use a word and you have a whole world around a single word, and that single word is considered then to be something negative about you. A single word. It may be true, but often it may not be true. But in a kind of a way, that means we are protecting ourselves against allowing anything that might shift or change our way of seeing ourselves or seeing others. So that is one way to look at or wonder about if it's okay to take a look and try to soften down our relationship with us. First of all, to allow yourself to even see something that may be hidden from us. That's fine. But if we end up only looking at stuff that might be hidden from us in a negative way, then we're judging ourselves. How is that going to help? The issue is we judge ourselves because we've been taught to judge. We judge others because we've been taught to judge. Judging others makes us more superior, even though we're not looking at ourselves under the same light. It doesn't matter. But it's the nature of being a human being, it appears. Unless you're willing to allow yourself to stretch beyond the veneer that you have constructed for yourself that you believe is idealistically always there. And therefore you see the veneer of being right all the time, and you don't recognize the relationship that you have with yourself. Because it's hard to recognize. Not because it's bad or anything. It's just hard to recognize. That seems a little bit difficult. in relationship to engaging with a different level of function than the one you're used to. I wouldn't even come close to saying that you can make some adjustments and you'll feel fine with them. Because I know that that's not always true. And besides, why should you make adjustments? Why should anybody make adjustments when all the rest of the world is not going to make any adjustments? Well, it's a part of being willing to grow as an individual. There is one thing that has always been rather irksome in the world, and that is the fact that we believe that no one else changes, and then if we change, then that doesn't seem fair. Well, I think I understand that one a little bit. I've been at this for a while. But understanding doesn't make it always perfect. Nobody gets things perfectly. It's just the way it is. Energetically, our relationship with perception is very fascinating. Because our first levels of perception on the energetic level is we begin to perceive the intensity or the tones or the rhythms of us. And that's the easiest one. That's because it's closer to the coarser levels of engagement. Remember, our personalities are all energy, fed by the physical aspects, by our own wills, and our own emotional dispositions, which, by the way, link very strongly into our mental facility and how we protect, that mental aspect, even though it is emotional primarily. We all have ideas about things that should be done this way versus that way. And those things have been helpful for us and also an impediment in relationship to our function and our observations of life. Because we have been trained to come up with an idea and then value it and protect it. And that goes all across the board of all our social encounters. It's the only way we have learned to function. And then we have a classing that goes on. And we do that constantly. And you've heard me talk about this before. And we value things relative to our version of what we think might be true. This is a tough one. So how to do something with that? Well, every time when you know for sure that something is exactly right, stretch it a bit. Recognize it. Recognize that this is what you think is true. Some relative truth, but it doesn't sound abstract at that point. That point, that's it. If you can just stretch that into a beginning to wonder about other ways of seeing things, other options, then you'll know how quickly that you hold to your previous versions. Well, that can't be true, and that can't be true, and that can't be true. Stretch it a bit. See if it's possible. I'm not attending perfectly to New Year's resolutions here, but it might be helpful. So you're watching your own behaviors the best you can. And you know that they're not perfect. Hopefully. If you don't know, that causes other problems. So learning about it doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you begin to understand how the world is, how human beings are, all across the board. So when you're engaged, and that makes you really serious, intensely serious. And as you grow, that energy coming in can increase your intensity, because if you have more energy, you will use it to validate stronger even how valuable you know you are versus others. At those spiritual levels, there is no versus. I'm sorry, this is just so hard to take in. Cross philosophies, cross religions, cross ways of seeing the world, understanding the world. There's no versus. An engaging being from one religious background meets another spiritual being from another background, and they interconnect. They're looking at that spiritual flow. They're not looking at an idea that must be perfectly, exactly like this or like that. This is one of the real wondrous reasons why those very able beings try to stay away from being recognized. Even though they can believe they can be a part of any belief, they realize that there is a deeper level of engagement that has nothing to do with the definitions of how a person has to be loved. And this one is really difficult for us. So if you begin to learn how to practice loving at least once a day, you'll find out that you really practice it all the time. You practice being in love with how you think things are and should be. It is a feature of these coarser levels. Worth a thought or two. I mean, if you're going to sit around and think about New Year's resolutions, throw a thought or two in there that's bigger than what might normally come up for you. That's a good resolution. Consider it. Don't worry about the names that you call these things as much, unless you're being hurt rather badly by a defined way of seeing those higher states. And if you have, try to soften down and find some other name, some words that will help you to feel comforted within an idea of higher states. I don't have any trouble with it. Most names, to be honest, it just doesn't make any sense from my point of view, but I know those things are there, and it's difficult because you want to make sense of things within yourself. So I would suggest is you start slow with resolutions, especially if you're going to look at meditation or doing something related to energy work. If you're having trouble meditating, it could well be, if you want to make a resolution about this, it could well be that you might be nervous about the possibility of changes that could occur inside you. And for sure, those changes may occur inside you, but these changes are related to you engaging with life slightly different. It's just a slightly different kind of loving that you give yourself. Remember, you've been loving you the way you have for X number of years, fill in the blanks. And that way, that particular way of engaging has been your byline. You're not going to throw that one up. But you can extend it, and you can soften it down just a bit. You will use your language to do that. Your emotion, your version of action, your version of intelligence, one could say. But you will still be focusing on the core of what you call valuable in terms of how you see what's necessary and needed to remain within the construct of being called spiritual. And this is what we all do here on these planes. So pulling back from judging or giving yourself a hard time for not doing this or not doing that might be a good step. Or at least you make sense of it your way and come up with a resolution relative to it, the best you can. Make a game out of things. Spiritual growth is tremendously serious. And if you're not, you have this sense of not being serious about your growing. Physically, play games a little. It'll help you feel better. Emotionally, engage with music as Toshi definitely does.
Scrabble?
Marlene said Scrabble. Maybe not Scrabble so much. Maybe okay from time to time. It's not one of my interesting games. I can play it, but I don't enjoy it as much as throwing a basketball around, and I haven't done that in a long time. But nonetheless, canoeing is a nice game. You find your own. What it does, it moves you, keeps you moving physically, keeps your brain active, keeps your emotions puts them into a place of settling down a little bit. Some people like to play hockey, and that makes them feel good. Some people like to skate, or ski, makes them feel good. There's always a linking that comes together. Physical, emotional, and mental. All these things, all these ideas, if any of these individual places are overstimulated, if you're, for example, you're exceedingly tired from doing too much physically, it wears the emotional part of you down, and you can't think as straight, for example. If you're overstimulated emotionally, you can't allow yourself to think things through. You're more prone to reacting. If you don't get enough sleep, the same thing happens. Titillate your mental facility. I like reading a couple of books at the same time. One usually fiction, one nonfiction. I do that because I like a change. You find your method. Be curious about what you're reading and why you're reading it. Reach out and stretch your reading a little bit. You'll do that relative to you or not. But that'll be up to you. Resolutions are very personal. These are just ideas. You don't have to do this, have to do that. You're cultivating internal considerations. I wonder what I could do this year to try and broaden out my practicing within life that might be helpful to me. Some things you may not be able to do. Others you might be able to do. Don't reach for the highest state of your own personalizations. Find something that is tenable, something that you can grab onto. It will help you. Toshi's idea of counting, well, it's like this. You begin something, there's a middle in it, and then there's an ending to it. You have succeeded. Some people make lists of things to do because it stimulates this idea, and it gives you comfort and a sense of value. And we need a sense of value because our vulnerability on these planes is rather strong. Whether you notice it or not, it's there in our behavior. It's there in our reflexes. It's there in our understanding. Yeah, let's see if I left anything out here. But remember, it's not about being perfect at doing them, or even, it's not even about making sure you do them. It's about broadening out your relationship with you, with life. And at the same time, it might give you an insight into how you decide not to. I'm not going to do that because people would like me to do that. I'm not going to do that. Well, that may sound a little childish, but oh no. We have a great fear of losing control of our relationship with how we engage with life. I think that's one of the biggest problems in meditation. There's kind of a sense of the possibility that for some reason we'll not be the same as we were before. And it may be true. But you don't have any idea what that may mean. For example, what if you become more caring? How are you going to deal with that? You're not practicing it. Well, you all are practiced in that. You care for yourselves. I certainly know you have to. Otherwise, it's difficult in life. Understanding small things that we don't think about very often. Things like laughing. Things like being afraid. Things like, what can I do to be a part and live life more? Am I in the house more often than I need to be? Just simple things that we don't consider. Or if we're asked to consider, if we might ask yourself to consider, you say, oh, I'm fine, I do that. I do all kinds of things. Yeah. But you're not paying attention to what you're doing because you can't name them that well. you just being okay the best you can. And that is really what resolutions are about. The reason why I'm making this question longer is that it's the only one we have tonight. So thank you everybody for sending in other questions, especially for the seminar. But we're short tonight. So hopefully in the next week or so we can get some more. Otherwise you're going to have to listen to me go on about the possibilities of engaging somehow with things that might be helpful. And number one for me is energy work. It's always been number one. Realizing that our personalities will notice it. It's like breaking a shell. We'll notice that. And then slowly we'll begin to notice a sense of empty, kind of, but caring. Strange. It's not filled with what we normally fill it with. Do I have to say that again? It's not filled with what we normally fill it with. There's like a space there. Some people say, well, what's going on? I'm bored. Nothing's going on. They don't let themselves feel that space. That quiet, silent place. Because they have been taught you have to fill these things to be comforted by you. You boss the space. It makes you feel like an adult. It makes you feel valued, important. But it also defends that aspect of you that it's, in a kind of a way, is so vulnerable that it is never felt as if you are okay. And you are. I'm not talking about when people have hard times here. This is the level of hard times sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And when we have difficult times, they're difficult. They're disconcerting. And it's not comfortable. Some of us are getting older. And we know this to be true. We know that most of our life is in our past. And our coming years may be shorter, or a little bit longer than we think. Somehow finding a sense of humor in that might be helpful. But when we're hurting, it's uncomfortable. Try to treat yourself to even TV programs that make you laugh. Find something that breaks the stretch of the stress that you're in. This is a very, very important resolution, in my opinion. And take a look around. Things sometimes you miss. People sometimes care for you, and you don't notice. You care for you. My version, another one, try to care for that higher state. You call it what you want to call it. But don't be afraid to call it whatever you want to call it. If it is truly the highest of states, it hasn't got a problem with what you call it. If it does, it's not truly the highest state of living. And our versions sometimes are defined well by us. Sometimes when we're feeling good, sometimes when we're not so feeling good. Our definitions define us. They don't define that higher state. But there are versions of how we speak and how we engorge ourselves with what must be true according to us. It's a difficult thing. But include in your resolutions a number of fun things. And if you're really bad at golf, go golfing. It'll make you laugh, provided you allow yourself to laugh. You can do it. Just don't go swimming in deep water if you're not a swimmer. And with that, I'll look again to see if there's anything I missed. But remember, this fear idea, when we think we're not in charge of stuff, that's a difficult one for us all, because we all fear. And we go from fear to judging. And I wish we went from fear to understanding and then doing our best to care for ourselves. Generally speaking, that might be really helpful. Okay, I'll take another look. Excuse me for a minute. I think I said this, that we fear change or being out of control and losing a sense of worth based on past versions of self, our own self-value. And we protect against any quick changes. And I did talk about spirituality and how difficult it is for us to make sense of other people's relationship with that. Remember, our personality responds in a singular term. I am, you should, they are, things of that nature. Trying to soften that down is really helpful in a very broad way, as well as in individual ways. What is not normal is one I didn't talk about. What is not normal is noticing your behaviors. That's not normal with people. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, often they don't notice. And when they do notice, they justify. This is normal for all of us, by the way, but you can interfere with that just in a little bit of time. You can just say, yeah, well, and then drain it off and say, yeah, wow, that one's tough for me. Or you're talking to yourself now. Tough for me because I think maybe that's a little bit too heavy or too harsh. Maybe I can soften that down. Maybe not, but maybe I can. Do the best you can. Others are going to do the best they can in their own way, and it may not even look like much. But if they're sincere, they'll be doing the best they can, and that'll be all they can do. So, alrighty. I think I've done what I can on that one. I like the idea of New Year's resolutions. I always have. I can't honestly say that I've kept them all, but I've done my share of being at least middle ground in them. Finding a middle ground seems to be a key. Otherwise, we go from one extreme to the other. Oh, I wasn't able to do that. Oh, I did them all, well, almost all of them. But the emphasis is on the importance of you. Find the middle ground and see that it's difficult to do things when you're under stress. Find out what your stresses are the best you can. And be respectful of you as well as others. So I think it's time for us to meditate. Let's get away from that one the best we can. And I hope you have a really good meditation. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you. I know some of you can't make it, but on the 15th. And I'm also looking forward again to seeing you on the 13th of January. I wish you well, everybody. Have a good evening, and we'll just start to meditate.
रत्नैः कल्पितमासनं हिमजलैः स्नानं च दिव्याम्बरम् नानारत्नविभूषितं मृगमदा मोदाङ्कितं चन्दनम् जातिचम्पकबिल्वपत्ररचितं पुष्पं च धूपं तथा दीपं देवदयानिधे पशुपते हृत्कल्पितं गृह्यताम् सौवर्णेन नवरत्नखण्डरचिते पात्रे घृतं पायसम् भक्ष्यं पञ्चविधं पयोदधियुतं रम्भाफलं पानकम् शाकानां यतं जलं रुचिकरं कर्पूरखण्डोज्ज्वलम् ताम्बूलं मनसा मया विरचितं भक्त्या प्रभो स्वीकुरु छत्रं चामरयोर्युगं व्यजनकं चादर्शकं निर्मलम् वीणाभैरिमृदङ्गकोहलकला गीतं च नृत्यं तथा साष्टाङ्गं प्रणतिः स्तुतिर्बहुविधा एतत्समस्तं मया सङ्कल्पेन समर्पितं तव विभो पूजां ग्रहाण प्रभो आत्मा त्वं गिरिजामते सहचराः प्राणाः शरीरं ग्रहम् पूजा ते विषयोपभोगरचना निद्रा समाधिस्थितिः सञ्चारः पदयोः प्रदक्षिणविधि स्तोत्राणि सर्वा गिरो यत् कर्म करोमि तत् अखिलम् शम्भो तवाराधनम् करचरणकृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वा पराधम् विहितमविहितं वा सर्वमेतच्छमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शम्भो न तातो न माता न बन्धुर्न दाता न पुत्रो न पुत्री न भृत्यो न भर्ता न जाया न वेद्या न वृत्तिर्ममैव गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी भवाब्धावपारे महादुःखभीरो कुसंसारपाश प्रबद्धः सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि दानं न च ध्यानयोगम् न जानामि तन्त्रं न च स्तोत्रमन्त्रम् न जानामि पूजां न च न्यासयोगम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि पुण्यं न जानामि तीर्थम् न जानामि मुक्तिं लयं वा कदाचित् न जानामि भक्तिं व्रतं वापि माता गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि कुकर्मी कुसङ्गी कुबुद्धि कुदास कुलाचारहीन कदाचारलीन कुदृष्टि कुवाक्य प्रबन्ध सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि प्रजेशं रमेशं महेशं सुरेशं दिनेशं निशीथेश्वरं वा कदाचित् न जानामि चान्यत् सदाहं शरण्ये गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि विवादे विषादे प्रमादे प्रवासे जले चानले पर्वते शत्रुमध्ये अरण्ये शरण्ये सदा मां प्रपाहि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि अनाथो दरिद्रो जरारोगयुक्तो महाक्षीणदीन सदा जाड्यवक्त्रा विपत्तौ प्रविष्ट प्रणष्ट सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहम् ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहम् चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहं सच्चिदानन्दोऽहं चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहं सच्चिदानन्दोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चित्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायु न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोश न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्तपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदोर्नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञ अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुत्वाच्च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च सङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम्
ब्रह्ममुरारिसुरार्चितलिङ्गम् निर्मलभासितशोभितलिङ्गम् जन्मजदुःखविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् देवमुनि प्रवरार्चितलिङ्गम् कामदहन करुणाकरलिङ्गम् रावणदर्पविनाशनलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् सर्वसुगन्धिसुलेपितलिङ्गम् बुद्धिविवर्धनकारणलिङ्गम् सिद्धसुरासुरवन्दितलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् कनकमहामणिभूषितलिङ्गम् फणिपतिवेष्टितशोभितलिङ्गम् दक्षसुयज्ञविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् कुङ्कुमचन्दनलेपितलिङ्गम् पङ्कजहारसुशोभितलिङ्गम् सञ्चितपापविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् देवगणार्चितसेवितलिङ्गम् भावैर्भक्तिभिरेव च लिङ्गम् दिनकरकोटिप्रभाकरलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् अष्टदलोपरिवेष्टितलिङ्गम् सर्वसमोद्भवकारणलिङ्गम् अष्टतरेत्रविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् सुरगुरुसुरवरपूजितलिङ्गम् सुरवनपुष्पसदार्चितलिङ्गम् परमपदं परमात्मकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम्
Now we'll just do the balancing and grounding. And good night, everybody.